YouTube. I'm so Southern, and if you're new to my channel, then welcome. And if you've been here before, okay, thank you. Okay, so I received an idea from my bestie. What's up, bud? Um, anyway, I received an idea about each video that I upload for each episode, each case. I'm going to follow it up with a video of tidbits. And what that is just extra information on each case that I talk about. Because guys, it's so much information out there on each case, and the thing is, it's hard for me to put everything in a 30-minute video, because if I did put everything in the video, you're talking about a video that is an hour, 2 hours long, and no one wants to sit, an hour, 2 hours of me talking, I don't guess. But anyway, so starting with this episode, the following week, I'm going to come back and I'm going to explain and show more in depth of things that I didn't put in the episode, the case, for you guys, so you can get, just a little bit more information about how the case went, and just little extra tidbits about the people that were in that particular case. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. And plus, it also will give me extra time to work and research on the next case. So hopefully you guys will enjoy those videos as well as my murder case. In today's episode, I will be discussing a case that is so bizarre, and it has so many levels to it, you wouldn't even believe. We're talking evil, fraud, and violence. Okay, let me take you back. The year 2009, February the 17th to be exact. This is the case of Pamela Butler. Pamela J. Butler was born in 1962 in Washington, D.C. According to Pamela's mother, Thelma Butler, and her brother, Derek Butler, Pamela as a child was very dependable. She was responsible, and she was very organized. Now, in her childhood, she had an interest in computers, and so she knew that she wanted a career involving the computer field. So after high school, she graduated. She went to college and received her bachelor's degree in information technology, and she went on to receive her master's in public administration. Pamela gained employment at the EPA in the IT department, and her colleagues just loved her. She was very brilliant. And with this career, she was able to purchase a nice two-story home in the Temple Hills subdivision in Prince George County, which is located in Washington, D.C. It's now Tuesday, February the 17th, and Miss Thelma, Pamela's mom, is concerned because she has not heard from Pamela in 3 days. And that's very uncommon, because Miss Thelma said she spoke with Pamela, if not every day, every other day. So Miss Thelma decides that she's going to go by to see what's going on. So she asks her grandson, Pamela's nephew, Jackson, to go with her. Once they arrive in the home, Thelma is there. She's knocking, she's ringing the doorbell, and she's not receiving an answer. So she asks Jackson, the grandson, if he still has a key. And just a side note, Jackson has a key because he lived there for a short period with Pamela while he was in school. So he still has his key, and they open the door and they go in. Now, once they get inside, they immediately notice that things are out of order. There are files on the floor, mail is in a pile scattered, and things are just not organized the way that Pamela organizes things, okay? So they're concerned, and Miss Thelma decides, hey, this is very odd. Let's go in the bedroom. Let's check her bedroom. They go into Pamela's bedroom, and the bed was completely stripped, and the comforter was actually laying on the chair in Pamela's bedroom. So all of this was just too odd. And Miss Thelma decides that, okay, this is too much. Let me call Derek, her son, the brother. So when Derek arrives, he goes in and he sees everything, just out of order, just not in the way Pam would normally have her home. She is just so meticulous that, he had the gut feeling that something bad happened to Pamela. Now, also while he's there, he notices that the alarm system is not turned on, which is another red flag because Derek stated that Pamela was a stickler about safety and her security system. So there's all kind of shades of red flags going on right here. So Derek decides to call a guy by the name of Jose. And Jose is Pamela's boyfriend. So Derek is on the phone asking Jose, have you heard from Pam? Because we have not spoken with her. I know it's been Valentine's Day and all of that. So it's a possibility that she's with Jose, right? Well, Jose states that he hasn't heard from Pam. And actually, the two of them broke up on February the 13th. Now, with this information, Thelma and Derek are shocked because they have not heard, well, they hadn't heard from Pam, but they didn't even know that their relationship was even on the rocks. So Derek is like, look, let's go ahead and call the police. Now, with the police, they have arrived and they are inspecting the home, to see if there's any signs of foul play, distress, and they actually don't see that. Even though that the family is, telling them this is not Pamela, this is out of order, that's out of order, they still don't, it doesn't rise to the occasion to them that something bad happened to Pamela. Now, as they're going through the home, Miss Thelma notices that there is an open window in the dining room. Now, again, the family is like, Pamela is very organized, very neat. She's strategic in how she places things, move things, and they know that Pamela never opened any window in the home. And that just stuck out like a sore thumb. So as they're still going through the home, Derek looks in the trash and he notices a Valentine's Day card. He opens up the card and it's a Valentine's Day card from Jose. Now, Derek is like, I just have a gut feeling that Jose is tied to this. And at that moment, the family decided to go ahead and file a missing persons report. Police begin their questioning with Miss Thelma, and Miss Thelma goes on to tell them that Jose and Pamela had asked her to go out to dinner for Valentine's Day, which was on a Saturday. And Saturday came and went. She had not heard from Pamela or Jose. Sunday goes by, Monday goes by. She still had not heard anything from either one of them. So that raised a concern, of course. So she actually contacted the brother Derek and was like, hey, I hadn't heard from Pam. They made plans and said that they were going to take me out, but never showed up. And Derek told her, hey, they probably changed their plans and wanted to be together. So, and just extended the weekend doing their own thing. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. Miss Thelma added that she was unsure if Jose had a key to Pamela's home, but she did say that her grandson, Pamela's nephew, Jackson, the one that went over with her, he had a key to Pam's home. So, of course, that makes Jackson a suspect. During Jackson's interview, he tells police, yeah, I had a key, but I used to live with her while I was in school. And, they asked about their relationship, and Jackson stated that they have a good relationship. Of course, they had their little spats, or whatever, which ultimately led to him moving out. But even the move out, he said that that was a mutual decision. So there's no bad blood there, and he didn't have a reason to hurt his aunt. So he's like, not me. And also he said, you might want to check the cameras. The police go back to Pamela's home to review the security footage from Thursday, February the 12th to Monday, February the 16th. Now, police are actually impressed because the security system that Pamela had was very sophisticated, top notch. So they're like, anything that's not right would obviously be caught on camera. So as they are reviewing the footage on Thursday, they see Pam and Jose go in for the night that night, Thursday night. And Friday, they see only Jose, and he leaves out early that morning, presumably that he's going to work. But they don't see Pam leaving the home at all that day. Now, they do catch footage of a door opening during the day, a door opening, and an arm protruding out to reach for the mail, and then it goes back in and the door closes. Now, Jose is seen also going back home around 8 p.m. that night. But then they catch him again around 11:30 leaving from the home. Pamela is never seen leaving that house through the entire roll of that footage from that Thursday to that Monday. It's so odd. And the police are just like, what? Because it's like Pam just disappeared into thin air, and we know that's not the case. Police continue to go through that security cam footage, and they're just like, what are we missing? But what they do point out is that Jose, for 2 days, he's like coming back and forth in and out by himself. And two of the visits, he was seen carrying a duffel bag. And then one of the times he was seen carrying a trash bag. So, that's suspicious. And that makes him a suspect. Okay, let me give you some background on Mr. Boyfriend, Jose. Jose Rodriguez Cruz, 43 years old, and was born in Puerto Rico. Jose served in the military in special operations, and Jose had been married before, but he was divorced and had been single for a while before he met Pam. Now, they actually met on a dating website, and Pamela's friends and family said, he was the perfect gentleman. She lucked out. Or did she? Now, Jose lives in Alexandria, Virginia, and he has his own apartment. And now, Alexandria is actually only 8 miles from Washington, D.C., so it wasn't like it was a long distance relationship. But at the point where Jackson, remember the nephew of Pamela, when he moved out, Jose actually really moved in with Pamela, but he kept his apartment in Virginia. Okay, it's February the 18th, and it's Jose's turn for questioning. Now, police asked Jose, when was the last time that you talked to Pam? And he says the last time that he talked to Pamela was on February the 13th. And that was the day that Pamela broke things off with him. She stated that she was not happy because of the finances. He wasn't bringing in enough money. He wasn't being a man and handling his manly responsibilities. And she also said that, she felt as if Jose was using her for her money. Jose also says that he actually called Pamela on Valentine's Day because he wanted to set up a time where he could go by and pick up his things that he left, his clothes and etc. And he never received a call back from her or a text message, but he assumed that, that she actually went ahead and went out on the dinner date with her mom, Miss Thelma, because that's what they collectively had already set up. Now, Jose did tell police that he had been by the house a couple of days in a row to get his belongings, but he didn't see Pam. He stated, he didn't think much about it because he just figured Pamela didn't want to see him. She was upset, didn't want to see him. So he just said he got his things, he left the key, and he left. And he said after he left the house the last time, the final time, he went to Christina, his ex-girlfriend's house, to spend the night. The police go to search Jose's car and his apartment, but they come up with nothing. But they do say, let's go check up on this Christina to see what she has to say. Christina talks to police and she confirms Jose's alibi. She said Jose came over because he wanted to talk. He was upset about the breakup. And once they finished talking, she left him to rest on the couch and she went in her room and went to sleep. So, I mean, like, dang, what's going on? Where is Pam? Where is Pamela Butler? The police are completely baffled. Police now subpoena Pamela's phone records. And when they receive the phone records, it indicates that Pamela was home on February the 13th and that her last phone call was to her coworker slash friend, and she was also receiving messages from Jose. Now, the strange part is that the days following or where Pamela is missing, her phone is picking up on different towers. One of the tower pings actually picked up in a Maryland suburb right outside of Washington, D.C., exactly 22 miles away from Pamela's home. It was like, why? Who's using the phone? But it also gave hope actually to Pamela's family, like this could lead to exactly where Pamela is. With this information, DC police connects with Maryland's authorities to organize a search party, but nothing came of it. The police have a gut feeling that Jose knows more than what he's leading everyone to believe, and I do too. I mean, there has to be, he should know. I mean, he was the last person that actually saw Pamela, right? So with this comes Jose's second questioning. It's February the 20th, and Jose's back in for another round of questioning. And Jose is cooperative and he's adamant that he didn't have anything to do with Pamela's disappearance. Now, the police asked Jose, would you be willing to do a polygraph test? And Jose is like, sure. I mean, I didn't have a problem with it, completely cooperative at this point. So, as the police are setting up the polygraph machine, Jose has second thoughts and he is spazzing out. He is amped out so much that the police are about to draw down on him. He's acting that weird. But, police, I mean, they can't force you to do a polygraph test. So, and on top of that, they don't have any evidence to actually hold Jose. So, of course, they had to let him go. So after Jose's show out at the police station, he decides that he's going to go to all of the local media outlets to do interviews and state that he had nothing to do with Pamela's disappearance and that the police were harassing him, and they have no proof. And he was professing his complete innocence in this. Now, the weird thing with this is that when Jose went to get his interview, he's even going so far as, you know, talking to Pam at the camera and saying, Pam, come home. I'm worried about you. Your family's worried about you. I love you and all of that. But when he goes to do the camera only shows Jose from the neck down. He never shows his face. Like, that's weird. So while Jose is actually doing interviews with the local media, tips are coming in about sightings of Pam around the DC area. Now, police actually follow up on each tip, and unfortunately, each tip led to a dead end. And in 2017, the case goes cold, and also the Washington, D.C. police declare Pamela Butler legally dead. Pamela Butler being declared legally dead is actually a plus for now because her case is now able to be reclassified as a homicide. And in 2017, that's exactly what happened. Her case was reclassified and everything was turned over to homicide detectives. So it's on now. Homicide detectives, they go back and look at the footage and they see Jose, coming and going dozens of times, the days following the disappearance. And even they were like, he should know something. I mean, he's the last person that saw her, right? So, I mean, what is it? What are we missing? Homicide detectives decide to look a little deeper into Jose's background, and they decided to take a look at his military records. Now, what they uncovered was that Jose's, military career wasn't really too much of a career, and he only was in the military for a couple of years before he was discharged for domestic violence and assault. And that came from his first wife by the name of Marta. Okay, so boom. Detectives are like, let's try and contact Marta to see if we can find more information on Jose. Well, as they are trying to get in contact with Marta, they receive information that Marta is documented as missing and missing under strange and unusual circumstances. Like, what? Marta's disappearance only came to light during the domestic violence hearings. She actually didn't show up, which Virginia police just assumed that she didn't want to follow through with the charges. So they didn't really think too much of it. They just assumed that she went back to her home in Puerto Rico to be with her family. So, they were just like, well, I mean, it's not unusual, because apparently that's something that happens quite a bit with, couples. They decide, they file the charges, but they don't go through the full proceedings to file that or close that case. Oh, guys. Okay. Stay with me because it's about to get janky. So, let's keep going. As detectives are trying to grasp at this information that they receive about Marta, the first wife, coming up missing under these strange circumstances, they receive contact about a woman that is in Miami, Florida, that's using Marta's social security number, date of birth, just everything, has her whole identity. So they're wanting to speak with her, right? So the woman actually contacts the detectives, and she lets them know, "Hey, I'm not Marta. I am the sister of Virginia." Okay, who is Virginia? I'm asking, the police are asking, everybody want to know, who is Virginia? Well, Virginia is Jose's second wife. Turns out Jose gave his sister-in-law Marta's identification so that way she can enter into the U.S. and pose as a U.S. citizen. I mean, why though? That's just weird. With this information, homicide detectives are just, they know that Jose has something to do with the disappearance of Pamela Butler as well as his first wife, Marta. But they don't have any evidence. Like, are the police actually harassing Jose as he stays? Because they really don't have anything to tie this man to the disappearance of Pamela or Marta. But I know they're working on Pamela's case, but still, they have nothing. Detectives decide to circle back around to Christina. You remember, the ex-girlfriend? They want to speak with her again just to see if she had any more information about Jose. So remember, it's 8 years later, after Pamela's disappearance. But Christina tells investigators that Jose was never at her house. Christina goes on to tell detectives that she had to tell them that story because Jose threatened her with violence if she did not go along with the program. So maybe Jose does have something to do with the disappearance of Pamela. It's now April the 7th of 2017, and detectives contact Jose to come back in for his third round of questioning. Now, Jose shows up, he has an attitude, and he's like, again, I told y'all I didn't have anything to do with Pamela's disappearance. So the detectives are like, okay, well, tell us about your first wife, Marta. And when they asked him that, he was completely thrown off, and he began to stumble over his words. So the detectives went ahead and stopped him and just began telling him of what they know. And it was then that Jose knew that they knew and we know. So he began to sing like a little bird. So, ladies and gentlemen, here is what really happened, the true story. It's February the 13th of 2009, and Jose and Pamela get into a heated argument. And the argument stems from Pamela feeling used and abused by Jose. And she wanted to break off the relationship. And she begins to tell Jose that he's worthless and, he's just not being a man. Jose gets so upset that he knocks her out cold. And when she hits the ground, he gets on top of her and strangles her to death. Now, Jose is fully aware of Pamela's security system, and he knows exactly where every camera is located at that home. And he knew that there was not a camera right in front or right by that dining room window, which is why that window was unlocked, by the way. But he drugged Pamela's body and loaded it in his car. He took Pamela's keys as well as her cell phone, which is why the towers were showing it was traveling. He took her cell phone and he went over the bridge to Virginia, where he buried Pamela in a shallow grave right underneath I-95. Once Jose buried the body, he returned back to Pamela's house to get his stuff and to clean the crime scene. And once he gave this confession, he was arrested and charged with first-degree murder of Pamela Butler. So get this, Jose was offered a reduced sentence to second-degree murder if, and only if, he led detectives to where Pamela's body was buried. And if he did that, he would only have to serve 12 years in prison. So Jose was like, okay. And ultimately, he led detectives out to the I-95 area and instructed them as to where to find Pamela's body. Now, the only thing about this is that, it's 8 years later, and all of that has changed. They've expanded I-95. So really, where the grave, the shallow grave was, it was actually up under the interstate. The cadaver dogs had several hits in the specific area where he said that he buried the body. So, the only thing with that, all of that going on, Pamela's body, her remains were not recovered. Pamela Butler's family finally receives closure on this case. And, yes, they were saddened because they didn't have her remains to finally lay to rest, but they were relieved that they knew exactly what happened to her and it wasn't a mystery anymore. Before I give my closing comments on this case, I want to give you guys a little tidbit. And you remember Marta, Jose's first wife? Well, her family actually received closure in 2018. Her body was found just a couple of miles away from where Pamela's body was actually buried. That's just wild, wild. This whole case was just wild. It was just so much going on. Like, why couldn't he just, leave? He should have just left and been like, okay, if you don't want me, that's not a problem. Let me move on to the next person. Like, why do you have to kill people? Why do you have to kill these females if they don't want you? Just because you're not manning up, so to speak. But I'm glad that these cases were solved, and I'm so glad that Pamela's family received, the information that they received, because they were, completely tormented. Pamela's mom was like 85 years old, so that was working on her. But you guys tell me what you think about this case. Do you think that Jose's sentence was fair? I don't think so. I think he should have received well more than 12 years. But I don't know. Let's talk about it in the comment section. So Southern is signing off, and you guys be safe out there. Bye.